There's no better feeling than a personal win. And the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked up by the line. Darius Slay's got it. Coming back right side 25. Picks up a block at the 30. Darius at the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right. Stafford throws deep. Got a man out there. Ensue. Caught. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones.
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Cornbread.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid, what is going on, everybody? We are back. And I got Grifka back here. Grifka, I tried to replace you last week. I tried to get 3-4 other people to come on. We couldn't make it happen. So I guess I'm stuck with you. What's up, buddy? How are you?
It's nice to hear that I'm irreplaceable.
Oh, man, absolutely. We can't get anybody with the kind of Lions takes that Grifka has, which I don't know if that's good or bad. But, no, we're happy to have you back, man. It was a Thanksgiving holiday there. We all kind of got away and had some other things on our plate, literally. It's fun to be back here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, man. Thanks for coming back on.
Hey, it's nice to be back.
So, Grifka, now that I've welcomed you back, now that you're quote-unquote irreplaceable, your words, not mine, I got a bone to – I got a big issue.
Okay. I'm interested in hearing this.
Does this sound familiar? I mean, I know the people out there listening I mean, they've never heard us argue before. It's not like a common occurrence that happens every episode, or is it?
Well, like I said,
let me get right into this.
Reasonable minds can differ.
So I don't want to even waste any time, Grifka, because I'm so frustrated with you right now, and there's no more pleasantries. So here's the issue. I'm going to, as my uncle Eric would say, I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version, okay? Which is the shorter version of what occurred. So last Saturday, here in the state of Michigan, there's quite a big college football game. It's called The Game, Grifka, against our Michigan Wolverines and the Ohio State Buckeyes. And everybody that's a non-Wolverine or Sparty, do not turn it off. We're not going to talk about the game. But what we are going to talk about is Grifka's attitude. This game starts, and within the first drive, which everybody and their mother can admit was a terrible drive for the Wolverines, bing, bam, boom, right down the field. I mean, we can't cover anything. The Buckeyes score. What do I get? A ping on my phone, text from Grifka. Oh, we're terrible. We can't cover any of these crossing routes. This game's over. You know, I think you waited till the second quarter to say this game was over. But, you know, so I'm yelling at you going, it was so close football game, and then we get the kick, and at halftime it's really not that bad of a game. They just can't compete, blah, blah, blah. So in the end of the day, like, you end up being right. The Michigan Wolverines get blown off the field athletically. But here's what I want to yell at you about when I want to have a discussion/argument about. It's not about you being right. It's about the mentality that you had and the way that you came at this game. The first negative thing that happened, you quit on your team. You were Mr. Eeyore, Mr. Down in the Dumps. And yeah, it came true, but you shouldn't get any thanks out of that. So when we spin it to the Lions, that's why I always come at you, because you do the same thing with the Lions. The minute something goes bad, you forgot about every good thing the team has going. Oh, it's poor me, same old, same old. Grifka, what do you got to say for yourself? And then I got a big issue after you're done giving your rebut of why you did what you did. Go ahead.
Well, I know you always like to say on here how you like to project and you always watch trends and stuff like that. So all I got to say is when I texted you that after the first drive where Ohio State just marched down the field running that crossing pattern, I can't understand why Michigan never adjusted to it, considering Indiana did it to them the exact same week before. you can tell Michigan just did not have the speed in the defensive backfield to keep up with those fast wide receivers, and especially on crossing routes. You already have the space because the way they were running those routes, it was getting them free. So I could see at that point they're not going to be able to cover them. I did not say the game was over at that point. I just said they need to clean it up. That's what I was worried about, because you texted me before the game saying big win. Oh, we need this goal for the game. I'm like, I'm worried. And you're like,
no, don't, hold on.
Still worried.
Let me break in.
No, I said, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm not worried. I'm
No.
nervous. And you said, oh, you got to have confidence. I go, still nervous, because
I said be positive and be confident. You said still nervous.
Still nervous.
Yep. Okay.
And so right there,
you told a half truth.
It just led. Watching that first drive did that. Okay, and just knowing what the offense was going to run that, and what Michigan ended up running, just they're trying to 3 yards in the cloud of dust. I mean, that was one of those things
Grifka,
that continued.
Fast forward.
Well,
we can't have a game review. We want to know why you said
the game was over when it was 21-6.
Right.
And I could just tell. And you got
quarter.
mad at me. I'm like, hey, just watching the trends. They don't have the speed to keep up with these guys. That's all there was to it. So I do that with the Lions the same way. When just like, they don't have the speed to keep up with these guys, or they don't have the defensive backfield to stop the pass, or they don't have the offensive line to stop the pass rush. You can just see it. Okay? And that's what you get mad
pause
about.
For a second.
For all the football, football you watch, and for all the football I watch, you can just see when you are the less talented team. That's why I say that. And I know you always want me to do Johnny Blue Skies to you. It's like, oh, it's still okay. It's great. It's fine. But no. It's like you can, like I said, sometimes you just got to step back and realize your team is not as good. And that's what that was. Go ahead.
Okay. So before I get to my big point, and we're gonna talk Lions injuries, we're gonna talk about the Thanksgiving game here in a minute. We got to continue to battle this out for a minute, because I want to ask you, Grifka, how in the heck did you feel after you texted me at 21-6, this game's over? I said, oh, hey, we got to get this crowd out of the game. We got to, get momentum and do some things, and it could still be a ball game. How do you feel when we score 2 quick touchdowns right before the half and we go in and it's tight? Do you feel like an idiot, or do you just say, oh, we're still going to get blown out? Because to me, a real fan is sitting there going, hey, we played terrible 21-6. Now we got a couple good breaks. We're right back in this football game, and it's halftime. And that happens a lot with the Lions, where things don't go well. You've already turned your TV off or broke your coffee table, and I'm hanging in there, and they could have went either way at half, man. You didn't know.
When they got within 2 points, yeah, my confidence started to tick up, and I was like, oh, okay. But then I'm like, 41 seconds, and what happened? They marched right down the field, and they got 3 points. Now, you try to tell me that was a great stop, and I replied,
it was.
They marched down the field. 70-some yards. It wasn't 75 because they didn't get the touchdown. They started at 25. They went down 73 yards, and Michigan stopped them. They got lucky. They didn't in 41 seconds. So you're trying to tell, oh, that's a great stop. No, a great stop would have been like, oh, the time runs out and they don't score and they go into halftime down by 2. No, they let them. They ran a couple crossing routes. Michigan space. Brandon Watson pulled his, his patented, defensive backfield holding or pass interference, or whatever, what he was, doing all year. But they marched down the field and went in by, down by 5. So you can't tell me it's, oh yeah, we still got the second half. We're only down by 5 now. No, they just marched down the field in 41 seconds and got points. So,
Grifka, will you please stick to the point? Tell the people. So you quit on the team. Then they got a couple scores. You were like feeling good again. Then they went down the field, and to me, yeah, I didn't like they went down the field, but you held them like 1st and goal on the 3, and you somehow held them to a field goal. In my opinion, not only is that a good stop, but hey, down 5 is just like any other game. That's just like, hey, not a big deal. So let's get back to the point of like the overall issue, which is what we always have on the podcast of the sky is falling and you calling me blue skies. Like, we're down 5 in the horseshoe to Ohio State, and you just think it's the worst thing ever. And I'm sitting there going, hey, when we come out at half, nobody knows what's going to happen. Now, you can say at the end of the game, see, I told you. Like, that's what I want to get down to. And what I really want to get to, and we got to get to this because we got to start getting to the rest of our show. I know we have some people that would love us to break down this whole game, but it's not about the Michigan game. It's about this overall quitting. Oh, wait, no, they're good now. Oh, wait, this team's terrible. Oh, wait, I like them again. It's about that mentality, and it's about the text you sent me at the end when I think I hammered you and I said something like, what did I say? Something to you like, oh, I hope you're happy, or like this, that, and the other, and you go, the problem is you just don't care as much as I do, and some other garbage. And I was like, so because you have this back and forth mentality or this negative mentality, and I have this positive overall vibe on my fandom and my teams, I don't care as much. That's garbage. And I was ready to jump to the phone and get you, but I couldn't. So that's why I figured I'd wait for the podcast. Like, how does bring this back to the Lions, not worrying about what happened play for play in the Michigan game? Tell me how you're going to deal with this football team, the Detroit Lions football team, with that kind of attitude where the first thing goes bad, you quit. Oh, wait, halftime? Oh, wait, I'm back again. Oh, wait, they just screwed up in the game? Oh, this team's garbage. I got no time for this team. And then tell me that I don't care because I was rooting them on the whole game. Are you kidding me?
Well, since we're going to talk about the Lions, I'll fast forward to the Lions. I know I've said this to you before. Where you're at in your fandom, I was, a while ago. It's like you're always like, hey, positive. Yeah, we got all 4 quarters. The Detroit Lions have ruined my weekend plenty of times. Where I thought they'd have a good team. They play down to their competition. It's like, gosh, they should blow this team out. They let this junk team hang around, and they end up losing on the back half. Then the next week they go out, and it's like, gosh, they should go out and get their teeth kicked in by this team, and somehow they miraculously pull out a win. And then they come back and they do the exact same thing where, once again, I have a stress headache come 4:30 on Sunday. They just totally ruined my weekend. It's like, great, now we got to do this. Where you got to see this at, And it's to the point with the team, it's just like I still watch them. And I always want them to win, just like Thanksgiving. People are like, "Oh, they should lose and get the better draft pick because they're out of it." No, I want them to win, but it's one of those things where I'm past that now. I'm not going to let them ruin my weekends anymore. So when saying like you care about them, I cared about them more. No, I did before, but I'm past that now. I'm past that with the Lions. I still want to watch them play.
Your text said, "Oh, I'm glad this doesn't bother you because it's going to bother me because I care about this team more than you."
We were
Do you want me
talking
to
about
read
the
the text verbatim?
We were talking about Michigan, but you want to talk about the Lions. That was according to Michigan. Me watching Michigan football.
Don't tell me you care about Michigan more than me, or you care about the Lions more than me. Yeah, right. Like,
I wouldn't say I care about the Lions more than you. Like I said, I'm to the point now where it's just like I'm going to stay level. I'm not going to get too high with them, and I'm not going to get too low with them. I'm going to stay level with the Lions. It's just like, cool.
You don't stay level at all. Here's my problem. And then,
I'm not going to let them. I told you I'm not going to let them ruin any more of my weekends. I mean, that's
I heard you.
It's done. It's before. That's not going to happen. I mean, that Michigan game pretty much ruined my holiday. Oh. I mean, so you want to talk about that? But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you woke up Sunday fine.
No. It's been bugging me ever since. The problem is you're ruining my weekends, Grifka, when, like, 2 minutes into the ball game, you're like, this is over. This team's garbage.
I didn't say it was over after Ohio State marched on the field. I said it when they went down 21-6.
Okay, that was early to mid-second quarter.
That's what I was nervous about because they couldn't stop the crossing route. So let's get this right. Stop putting narrative in there that didn't freaking happen. I told you when they went down 21-6, the game was over at that point. After they went down the field in 5 plays on 4 crossing routes, and they scored on that. That's when I was like, they need to clean this up. That's what worried me. I didn't say the game was over at that point. Okay, so let's get this right.
Oh my gosh! Early to mid-second quarter, you're quitting on a 10-1 football team that has everything on the line that you say.
Where the other team is just marching down the field at them at will, and Michigan is running there not to lose the game offense. Second and 7, they're trying to run a blast play up the middle. How many times did that happen? Where was Ohio State on the edge? They ran one play on the edge all game. The first play of the game where Higdon busted off 12 to 15 yards. Did they do it the rest of the game? No. And then all I had to do was sit there and listen to how great Ohio State's linebackers were playing. That's because they're running right at them. Any linebacker can stop them if they're running right at them. They're not out of position. All this motion that Maryland
Grifka,
did against
I don't
Ohio
need a
State,
review.
Michigan didn't do. They ran the most basic freaking offense in the world.
I don't need a review of the game. What I want to know is if Michigan wins that game at the end, what are you not happy then because you had quit in the second quarter? You don't get any credit when they come back and win a game, and you'd be like, go blue. Just like I'm telling you about the Lions. Like when you pull that crap when me and Hughes are like writing a message or other people and you're like, oh, they're just going to get whooped again. You don't get any credit then when this team's good and you got your Barry jersey on is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, what's the difference between you and a front runner?
Let's pull this narrative
when
on
you're like,
let's pull this narrative.
Oh,
You always
good.
bust
I don't
my
like
chops about like rookies, and you need to go out on a limb early and say the stuff. And so you're covering your head, you're covering your bases either way. If a rookie pans out and you've been touting them, great. But what happens when they don't? You just kind of blow it off. Oh, big deal. Oh yeah, so I was wrong. Oh, you mean so I don't get the same thing when I like in the second quarter? I'm just like, well, this game's over. They ain't got crap. Then they come back and win. I just can't say, oh well, okay. I mean, come on, you can't do the same thing.
It's
just
totally
because you
different.
go out on a limb, just because I call it early, just because I do the presidential election when the state closes ballots box, I'm declaring them the winner. I mean, don't give me that crap. You can do it, but I can't. I just do it because I predict the downfall of it. You're just always Johnny Blue Spies predicting the win.
Good.
Okay, whatever. I'm sorry you're not Red Auerbach lighting up I'm not lighting up the cigar in the second quarter. Oh, this game's in the bag. We got this thing won. I mean, so you can say what you want, but you do the exact same thing. You just always go with the positive of it. I watch the trends like they don't have this. It's over. So there you go.
Okay, well, I don't know how rooting for your favorite two teams, as we talked about here in this argument, and projecting a college player, and there's never been one time where I just, I got that wrong. No, I've come on here many a times and said, hey, Grifka, you were right on X, Y, and Z player. And then, yeah, there's been times I've been right. You give me a little credit, but not much. And there's plenty of people I get wrong. You go to Bobby Quinn, he's 50%. So to me, there's a total difference between guessing at what player will be good and won't be versus rooting for your favorite team / not rooting. Half the time when I talk to you, it's like, oh, man, we're just garbage yet. I'll talk to you in the off season. Oh, man, we got a chance at the national title. Oh, wait, we lost to Ohio State. We can't compete with their speed. They're just way better than us. Like it just kills me every time. And then that, I care more than you. I've been watching longer than you, all this stuff. Like, come on, man. We've heard that a bunch of times. So I don't buy your metaphor, your comparison. And I just need to battle that out with you because when's it going to come to the day where Grifka's going to, sit in there as a diehard fan of either the Michigan Wolverines or the Lions, watch a game for 4 quarters, root for his team, and then at the end of the day be objective, which I still think for the most part at the end of the day and even in the midst of it, I can be somewhat objective and say at the end of a ball game, oh man, either we got blown out. I'm not sitting here telling you, oh man, the Michigan Wolverines played a great game on Saturday. I'm not going to tell you the Lions played a great Turkey Day as we had here. But I sure wasn't coming into Turkey Day after the first touchdown by Chicago going, this one's over. They hung in that football game. Point is that all of this quitting in the second quarter, you had them at 11 wins in the preseason. Now they'd be lucky to win 5, or you just don't I just want you to hang in there more, and I want people to understand that you almost don't get the gravy when you pull this type of garbage because it's the same as a bandwagon who sits there and rags on the team, and then when they're good, you see them at the parade. I want you to be there, win, loss, draw during the game, and then also be like, hey, we got our tails whooped, and then tell me why. But don't tell me that this team sucks in this second quarter of a game and then not see it out, not root for your team. Or if they come back, then we're talking on the podcast of, wow, what a great game that was. Because I'm going to call you out and say, you were negative as hell in the second quarter. And I don't know. It drives me nuts, as you can tell. But and the caring about Team War, man. I love the Lions. We're both doing the Detroit Koolaid Cast. We both love this team to death, but we have a total different way of approaching it. That probably never will change. But, I mean, what happened on Saturday, I just couldn't understand it. So,
okay, like I said though, I just was watching the trends on that on Saturday, and it's just they didn't clean that up, and that's what worries me about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll do a rarity on the show, I will bell myself here and say reasonable minds, I guess, can differ. But I don't really mean that, Grifka. You know that I think I'm right and you're wrong. But we will definitely move on with the show here and talk some Lions football, because as much as I'm definitely so heartbroken by that game on Saturday, as much as my Thursday Turkey Day was ruined too. But before we get to that and talk about the Lions-Bears game on Thanksgiving, we'll just hit a couple quick things here. I mean, it just came out the other day. Marvin Jones headed to IR. This one really surprised me, Grifka. I thought it looked minor when it happened. I know he told a reporter, hey, he was solid a week or two ago. We didn't see him on Thanksgiving. I thought in a week or two he'd be back. What's your thoughts of Marv going to the IR? Kind of a big offensive piece that's gone for the season now.
I think it may be one of those things like if the Lions were in a playoff hunt, like a real playoff hunt. I mean, I know they're still mathematically not eliminated. He'd be playing through it. I don't think it's that bad. I think it might be one of those things just like, could it get worse if he played? Yeah. If it's one of those things like, okay, I'm going to chance it because, the team has a chance to win the division. And like I said, I know they're not mathematically eliminated, but it's just not looking good right now. So it might be one of those things like, okay, hey, let's put you on the shelf, make sure you're completely healthy. It's not one of those things where you make it worse during the season. Then, come off season, you need to have some sort of, scope or some sort of surgery that you have to recover from. Because, you always hear those stories about, like, once your body's cut open, it never just exactly heals exactly like you're brand new. So I think it may be one of those things where the Lions have decided it's like, okay, instead of, making it worse, we're just going to, put you on IR and let you rest and get some looks at, maybe some younger guys. Like, I know there's a few guys, like, they're always talking about maybe trying to get a couple more looks on. So I think that's what this is more so than it's such a terrible injury that they need to put him on IR. I think that's probably what this would be.
Yeah, let me give me some space here, because we only argued with each other for 15 or 20 minutes. We got some more time here, but I'll give my quick take on this, but I want to go on another mini solo rant on this one. So I agree with your last point that, they're probably erring on the side of caution and whatever, but my biggest issue with this is that, this team in general, our Lions, is going to need some mojo heading into this offseason. Now, does that mean victories? It doesn't have to, but it means playing better football, being more explosive offensively, all that good stuff. So I think not having Marv, people starting to zero in on Kenny, maybe not having Carry on for a while, if at all, that's really going to make this offense tough. Now, yeah, we might see some younger guys and some other people do some things, but I don't see many other big chess pieces that, can do some things. So I think it's just really going to hurt the team. So, we'll see how it plays out. But I really thought, oh, man, how are they going to score points? How are they going to throw the football the way that we're used to so that the people don't revolt? So let me say that to say this. So each day, Grifka, usually, I'm bouncing between sports radio, podcasts, different things, as I have the time. And so in the last couple of years, I went back to Mike Valenti, and I used to love him and Terry Foster. Were just funny together or whatever, but I kind of got away from it. So I go to listen to Valenti's show. And to me, when this guy talks sports, I sort of always see where he's coming from with trying to build for championships, not for 7 and 9. I get where he's coming from there, but he always has this aggressive take of, I would just put Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay, Kerryon Johnson, Matt Stafford all in bubble wrap and just play for 2019. And, that's not realistic, man. Some of these guys, if they have a really, even this last week, just throw out a quick example, Melvin Gordon was pretty hurt. He ended up talking his coach into letting him play. He ended up playing pretty well, but then in the third quarter, he re-aggravated the injury. Now he's out in an extended period, 4 to 6 weeks. So that's the other side of that. If you push it, yeah, you could hurt yourself worse or whatever. But I don't go with this Mike Valenti where he just says, put everyone on the shelf, lose every game, get the best draft pick. And who's a bigger draft honk than me, Grifka, that wants, to dissect the draft, wants good draft picks, wants good capital, all that good stuff. I'm not subscribing to that. And I think that you can go one way or the other, but I think it's a little bit of both. Like, yeah, you don't want to screw up your pick from number like 5 and then win 3-4 games at the end of the year and go to like 15s or 20s. But you also don't want to lose, what would it be, like 6-8 games in a row to end the year. And I think, with Marvin's injury, let's say they were just to say, hey, carry on, like you could come back, but you might not. Like, I think it's a big deal, man. So I'm telling you right now, like I'm kind of right in that middle road of not wanting to rip off tons of victories because, like you said, it's pretty like, not possible now to sort of make the playoffs or make a big run. But I don't want to start shelving all these guys and having to watch like terrible football every week, having people just continue to pile on Matt Pat. Even Matt Stafford, man, like he needs to get it going, and one of the only ways to get it going is to have a bunch of offensive people out there doing their thing, and him being able to get himself where he needs to be. So I know I'm like kind of going off there, but I mean, speak to that for a second. Of like, do you think there's a middle ground? And with them IRing Marv, like, are they going to be able to find that middle ground? Or are we looking at, hey, it's even going to be tough to beat the Buffaloes, Arizonas with some of the people we running out there?
Yeah, I'm not that guy who wants to bubble wrap everybody as well and just kind of lose everything and get the best draft pick. I guess my biggest thing is with that. It's like, yeah, we can sit back, you want to say it as fans or radio guys can want to sit there and talking heads just want to be like, yeah, just lose, get the best draft pick you can. But once again, if guys in the locker room are more than willing to like kind of sit back and say, like, yeah, okay, let's just, go out there, put the pads on and, whatever comes what may, big deal. Do you really want guys like that on your team? I mean, because, you always hear like, the playing for pride and these guys are pros and they don't want to lose.
Classic Grifka take here.
Yeah. But if you're okay with like mailing it in, like, oh, I'm just here to get a paycheck. Do you really want guys like that?
Oh, I was waiting for it.
There you
yes. No, pick up the paycheck. That's a classic one.
Exactly. But so that's just it, though. I can't imagine you're doing those guys in the locker room a disservice by even the coaches like doing that. If it's one of those things like, hey, you want to draw, you're trying to go get free agents. You want to try to prove that you're a winning organization, and yeah, the season hasn't went like everybody's wanted it to, but to say like, hey, everybody just, let's just go out there and, give it the old college try and see what happens. And you're doing those people a disservice, the guys on the team, because they're going to be like, well, I don't want to frickin' be here anymore. The coaches don't even want to win this game. They want to try to get the best draft pick. What are they doing? Then those guys are out there, you always say they got to put it on tape for other teams if they try to sign them, stuff like that. I can't see that happening. They want to win as many games as they want to. Us as fans and as radio guys, talking about the teams, but the sports reporters are all like, yeah, if you lose, you get the best draft pick. I mean, you can lose fans that way, especially like the Lions. I mean, everybody knows how fickle Lions fans are. I mean, it seems like every year they do something. It's more like, okay, whatever. There's a point. It's kind of like, the Lions are one of those teams like as the old regime dies and younger fans start to come up. It might be one of those things like you're looking for just like the front runner, So it's like that's why the Lions fan base could dwindle. They continue to do this. I mean,
Grifka, come on. Hold on here. We gotta get to this Turkey Day game, but I got two major beasts. What you just said. One is, like. When I threw that to you, I knew that's where you're going to go. And partly because, like you said, you always say, well, I'm not the guy that ever wants them to just lose and get the draft. You said that before, even though I just ragged on you for 20 minutes about like.
But I don't want them to lose. Okay.
Yeah. But the point is, like, you do have to sort of use your brain a little bit too as a fan. Like, time to win. Yes, we go in and root. You always say, okay, I go into every game rooting for them to win. Well, sometimes at least a quarter or two you do. But the thing is that, yes, there is a point of diminishing returns of winning. Say they lose the next 2-3 in a row. Do you really want them to go out and beat Minnesota and Green Bay just so you have that fuzzy feeling? Or do you want to say, hey, at this point, like those wins really are basically empty. So like you got to think. That's why I was trying to steer you to the middle ground.
Are you not quitting on said team to do that? what you just hounded me about quitting on them. I mean, so I'm quitting on them even before the game starts because just take the loss. Go ahead and take the loss. That, once again, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, just like you rag on me for like, oh, you quit on them too early. It's like, oh, so if they lose the next couple, who cares if they go win Minnesota and Green Bay? It's, it doesn't matter. You just quit on them on Saturday then before the game, before even Sunday rolls around. So, I mean, but you're going to rag on me. So yes, there's a tipping point is what you're saying. There's a tipping point where it's like, okay, now it's okay to go out and lose. Now it's okay for them to want to go out and be terrible. Okay. That's okay.
You keep trying to compare things to like get right or to turn it on me. No. The reason I ragged on you is because of your like extremist negativity early in games, or when one thing goes bad, or like you're really high on it and then all of a sudden they're the worst team ever. That's what I'm ragging on you on. And what I said again is there's a point, which again, Michigan 10-1 in the biggest game of their life, we're not at the point of using our brains to say, hey, this might be a game that doesn't really do us much good to win. We had everything on the line. I said there's a point, and there's coming to a point in this Lions season where am I going to go to every Sunday and say, well, I hope they lose this, or I'm going to root for them to lose? Not necessarily, but there is already a part in me that's saying, hey, what good does it do us to win this game? And that's where Mike Valenti and other people are coming. What good does it do you to rip off some wins here? They try to say 0. I already tried to explain to you that I'm not going with there's 0 net benefits. There's mojo. There's getting people for the coach, the quarterback's confidence, all these type of things to sort of play for. What I was trying to say is that, yes, like at some point, and we're getting close to it, that some of these wins that would be like wins for Grifka, who says, hey, I show up every game, I don't want him to, like, can you see that there's not a rooting for tanking, and there's also not a like dying to win every game when it's really going to hurt your overall goal? I mean, do you want to win championships, or you want to win an empty game in December?
Are we talking like
there's a difference?
So we're talking like fandom versus the guys playing on the team, right? Because the guys on the team don't want to go out there and lose. Okay. That's, they don't want to go out there and lose.
The guys on the team have brains, Grifka, and they know that, hey, like, we're not going out to lose, but they would all tell you in a quiet moment that they don't have very much to play for now like they did in September, right?
Right. But like I said, those guys are out there putting stuff on tape.
Use your brain.
Those guys are out there putting stuff on tape because next year, obviously, not everybody who's on this team this year is going to be on the team next year. So them going out and showing that they're sloughing off, and what are they going to do? They're going to, like, their agent's going to go to, some team calls, and they're going to be like, well, they were kind of going 75% speed because they really didn't have nothing to play for. Yeah, like other teams know that, but those guys, they're pros. They still need to go out there and play hard. Now there's a difference between okay, we need to set Matt Stafford because he's dinged up. We'll just go out and throw Matt Castle out there, to so he doesn't get more hurt. Or those guys want to win the game no matter what. That's what they get paid to do. So, but like you said, as fandom, yeah, it doesn't make any sense for them to go out and win. They have to go out and get it helps them to get a better draft pick. But I'm saying the guys in the room don't want to lose. So
okay, so again, we're getting like off track because you tried to pin me in of that, like, okay, now I'm quitting on the team. So I tried to explain that out. Now you're back somehow on the, like, am I saying the players are quitting? Like, I didn't really talk about that at all. What I've been saying this whole time is that by shelving Marv and maybe shelving Carry-On, and by me as a common thinking human with a brain that's also a fan, is saying, okay, like, it's going to be hard offensively. And we have a draft pick to think about, and we have to think about what you said, which is, are we going to play better so the current players feel better, so that the fans like the coach, so that we can give free agents, all that stuff sort of encompasses into one big ball. And so what I was trying to say is Mike Valenti is saying, like, it doesn't matter, just lose every game. Like, it's all about the draft pick, bubble wrap everybody. You're saying this other, thing that I'm hearing, which is like, well, I'm a true blue Lions fan. I want to win every game. I root for them. Maybe if it's only for a play or two or a couple quarters, as we saw on Saturday, or for the whole game. And I'm sitting there sort of in the middle road saying, like, I don't want you to bubble wrap everybody and have us play terrible, but I really, like, want to root for my team, but not to where we go from the 5th pick to the 15th so that Grifka could root and say, we beat the Packers at the end. Woo! Like, that's what I'm trying to say, is that we have to consider all these things, and I don't think Valente's right. That's why I sort of wanted to give a rant on him. But I'm on you again because you're back to your old Jolly Gee Willikers. Let's win one every week for the Gipper. And I'm saying, hey, man, when we got nothing to win for, I'm not going and rooting like, oh, man, when the Lions throw a touchdown, I'm breaking my coffee table. But, yeah, it's going to be frustrating if it costs us in the big picture because I want to win championships. I know, Grifka, you're 40 years of being a fan. Like, you don't think the Lions will ever do that. Like, I think that's a legit goal if they do this thing right. So anyway, we're so far off track, it's crazy. But you got anything else before we move on?
Yeah, you can spin whatever narrative you want. I mean, but if it's to the point, like you're just kind of wanting the team to lose, that just doesn't make an ounce of sense to me. You can bust my balls in, week 6 when I say this team's terrible, but you're gonna wait till week 11. You're gonna wait till week 11 to say like, okay, now we can just pack up the tent and go home. Okay. Like I said, you can spin whatever narrative you want, but it makes no sense for you. Like, I don't want to watch bad football. Just lose the game. Okay, that once again, that just doesn't make any sense to me. So,
Griffey, You're going to get me on another whole tangent, but there's a total difference between sort of looking at the big scope of picture and trying to be a smart and a savvy fan, but also root for your team versus like I've been ragging on you for your. Like you always say, your fandom, how you root for the team, because it's so – I don't even know how to describe it. It's like 1 minute you're like, oh, man, I can't wait for this game. We got a good chance. And then one thing goes wrong in the first quarter, second quarter, and you've flipped the script or like the world is ending and it's over. I'm saying to you, like, did I ever say like that I'm going to say all of a sudden in week 11 this team's terrible? I've come on this show before and told you for a couple weeks now, man, they played terrible, a terrible loss. Hey, good win against the Panthers. I pretty much call it like it is, and that I root for them every week. But to say you don't like think about the pick, you don't think about some of these other things is just being I don't even know what word I want to use right now. It's just like moronic almost to like say, oh, I just want to win every game and not think about all the other factors that are in play. I mean, come on, like it's all part of it. Like being a fan, yeah, it's rooting, it's thinking about the pick, it's hoping they sign some guys, it's hoping that we can get rid of some of these stiffs that are out there trying to play corner. It's all part of it. I mean, why would you just sit there and go like, oh, how can you rag on me for not like being positive and then you want them to lose? Like, okay, so it doesn't make sense.
So
that doesn't make sense.
So come Sunday, I know we'll talk about this, later on weekend Friday. So it's okay for me then come Sunday, just as soon as Todd Gurley busts off a 45-yard touchdown run, I can give you 3 cheers and say, yes, this only helps us down the road. You'll be good with that then, right? I just want to make sure because this is what it sounded like to me.
No, like
that doesn't make an ounce of sense because
it does.
It's okay if we lose,
my gosh, what are you missing here? Like here's the sad part is that when Todd Gurley rips off a 50-yard run early in the game, it won't be me telling you like, oh, this is a good thing, don't worry about it. It'll be you telling me like this team, the Lions suck, they can't do anything. Like I don't even know why I watched this game. That's going to be you, and that's going back to our earlier argument. I'm going to be sitting there when the game kicks off going, I hope they play good here against the Rams, even though I don't think they can beat the Rams. And let's say it's the third or fourth quarter and they're still playing well. I'm going to be going, hey, man, they've been playing good football. Part of me in the back of my head is going to be going, okay, like I want them to win, but I know that a win might drop us, in the draft, but I'm going to still root for them, like kind of using all my sensors, like, so it's totally different. It's like, no, I'm not going to be jumping up in my chair when somebody makes a play against my team, but I mean, it's always in my brain of the implications that each game has now that we can't make the playoffs. If we beat the Bears last week, I'm not mentioning any of this because we still have playoff opportunities. We still have like a goal that's legitimate. like now your legitimate goal, as I mentioned when I first started this rant about 20 minutes ago, was your thing now is, hey, let's hope we play better so the city feels better, and so people get off Pat and Matt Stafford's back, and so people feel better about the team. That's all we're playing for right now.
That's not what I said at all, but okay.
What did you say then? Wrap it up for me, because like,
I'm
what
just
are you
saying I
playing
never want
for
the
with
Lions
all
to
your
lose,
wins?
and I'm saying the guys in the locker room don't want to lose. That's what I'm saying. Right
Okay,
there.
We didn't say anything about the players, and why do you want them? Like, what are wins going to do for you, especially if they're really empty? Let's say
Are you
we
talking
get
me?
whooped by the yeah. Like if we get
Like
whooped
said,
by the Rams,
it's no different than
we
you
beat
just
it.
said.
We
It's
beat
no
the
different than you
Cardinals.
just said. If they're on Sunday,
what
they're
does it
playing the
do
Rams
for you?
close in the fourth quarter. Are you really rooting for them to lose at that point, or do you want them to win? Are you hoping that the Rams win at that point? Oh, because in your mind it helps us. I mean, do I want them to win? Yeah. They rip off of you. I don't care. Like I've said before, prospects are prospects until they do something. I mean, it's
okay. Well,
it's just,
well, it works the other way too, Grifka. That hey, you winning a few games or like hoping and like it might kick your ass in the end when like you go down 10 spots and you can't get a top player.
So the momentum
Then
that you
nobody
talked
can tell
about,
me.
they need some good mojo as well. So they could lose they have 6 games left. I mean, if if they lose, 4 of them, 5 of them, but they're really close. They only lose by like 3 points, 7 points. Is that good mojo going into the offseason that you're talking about? That you had in this opening that this team needs? I mean, really? Oh, they lost, but they lost close. I mean,
Yeah. Yes, Grifka.
That's in your mind, though. That's in your mind.
No,
not...
if they come out every week and they play good football, they're throwing the ball better, they're making plays, they're in football games, and they happen to come out on the short end, that's almost like sort of a perfect scenario because we get the mojo, we get the better vibes, we lose, we get all the resources, and we could reload in 2019 and try to go at it.
Yeah,
we have nothing to play for right now other than pride.
That goes back to one of my prior statements. Show me the we came really close column in the sports page, but still lost. Is that next to the win-loss almost file? We got 7 almost this year. We might be a good team next year. I mean, it's just.
Okay, well, the other side, we run the table. Tell me what that gets me. What's that going to get me?
It gets us at 9-7
column,
actually, and not too far out of the playoffs. And that might be the next step that your coach Pat was supposed to bring us in for. I mean, give me a break.
Okay,
you run the table.
Now
You're
he's
at
my
9-7.
coach. Now he's my coach, right? Not your coach. But then, what does almost in the playoffs get you, Grifka? Where's that in the stat column? Is that worth something? I didn't know. I didn't know if you got a trophy or you got something for that.
Your fans are going to be a lot happier at 9-7 and like almost out of the playoffs as opposed to like 3-13. Oh, we got a high draft pick. Come on. I mean, really? Really? Are you telling me that?
Okay. I'm telling you in a very short form that to me there's a total difference between like the negativity and the quitting, as I call it, on a team early in a ball game and rooting versus like playing, which we're basically playing for nothing now. Doesn't mean to like cheer against your team, but it doesn't mean that there's really nothing we can gain, meaning a Super Bowl, meaning playoffs, meaning like anything. The only thing we can gain is draft status, which to you seems to mean nothing. Whereas like if we are picking in the top 5 or 7 and we get an absolute beast, are you going to tell me then that it doesn't matter or that prospects are prospects? Or are you going to say, well, I'm glad we got him at 7 rather than 15 because it's a totally different player?
You can name all those number 5 picks, number 7 picks that are just guys on teams too. Like I said, prospects are prospects until they do something. So, I mean, come on.
Okay. Well,
I mean, that's
again the negative side. It's like Grifka, you're like thinking, okay, until the guy is good, I'm going to assume every draft pick's going to be worthless. Well, then we might as well just give them all away, right?
Yeah, because
we might as well just never draft a player because they're probably going to be bad.
Obviously the Patriots really worry about their draft picks. The Patriots really
do.
worry about at what point.
All they do is trade down.
At what point is that going to come back and bite them that they're always drafting like 29th, 30th, 31st? When's that going to come back and bite them in the butt? And you're going to say that at that point? Now they're going to have to worry about it? Yeah, because obviously they're really worried about their draft picks.
Okay,
but hey, you got your draft. You got your draft pick though. You can go lose out and get your high draft pick. Because I know those teams that are like in the playoffs every year and dogfights every year in the playoffs, they're worried about their draft status. That's what they're worried about. That's exactly what they're worried about. The Detroit Lions are supposed to have their quarterback of the future. This guy here forever. I mean, yeah, let's worry about his draft picks. Because I know the Steelers are out there worrying about their draft pick status. And I know, like I said, I know the Patriots are. It's like, Grifka. Well, hey, it's fine. We need to get a high draft. Give me a break.
Grifka, the Steelers, the Patriots, all those people are not only still in the playoff race, they're leading their divisions. Do you think I'm having this talk with you if the Lions are leading their division right now? Do you think I'm talking about like draft status if we are like have a chance to win a championship?
Okay. You think the Green Bay Packers? You think the Green Bay Packers are worried about their draft status right now?
Of course.
So their fans wouldn't want them to win out, to have a better chance of making the playoffs. You think they're sitting up in Green Bay right now saying we should just lose out, get a better draft pick?
Eliminated after the last game, so yes, they're smart fans are going, hey, we gotta retool, we gotta put players around Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's common sense. Oh my goodness, where are we going here, Grifka? I don't even think we can review the Turkey game. We're gonna have to bump it to Friday.
No, this is the best part, that we're not actually talking about that game. I prefer this discussion over us talking about that meaningless game.
I mean, it was a bad game, but it wasn't meaningless, because if they win that game, I wouldn't even be bringing up half the stuff I'm bringing up. But that game, along with the Seattle game, ended our year. I had like 3 or 4 buddies write me after this game and say, season's over. Like, and are they going to not root for the Lions? No, but they are common sense individuals, and they're like, they know that we basically have nothing to play for other than pride and other than fandom and other than the city and the players playing for each other. That gets you nothing but draft picks and free agents and retooling this team. That is what's going to get you to the playoffs and hopefully a lot farther someday.
Yeah, it's like,
so
like you said before.
So your 9-7 or your 8-8 is going to get you nothing.
Like you said, though, it's like
feel good.
Draft picks are Detroit Lions fans' crack. It's always one of those things like, oh, we got draft picks. Lions have always had plenty of draft picks, but so whatever. It doesn't matter.
Okay, but again, use your brain, Grifka. You have one. Like, all those years we had the draft picks that you just are pushing aside. Who was picking? We all know we had a few buffoons up there. Who, like, remember when we used to pick in the top 5 every year? Do you remember what the contracts were like back then? Where like now a rookie you pay like $5 million for 5 years. Back in the day, you'd pick a guy at number 3 and you're paying him $50 million guaranteed. Like, it's totally different. So you're like comparing things with this blanket that are totally have, almost like it's a different world, different era, and you're trying to like compare them like they're even. Like, it doesn't. You lost me a long time ago, but
like you said,
you got to root for your team.
At what point are you gonna you're just giving, Bobby Quinn the benefit of the doubt because he came from New England. That's what you're doing. I mean, you're like, oh, this guy's totally different than all the other guys. I'm sure the owners thought every other GM they had on this team thought this guy was totally different. I'm sure that's what they thought. So, but it was like their GM hire. I mean, well, like, you've only been around since Matt Millen. So, I mean, maybe you could have thought Martin Mayhew was just like a total buffoon, hire as well, saying, why'd they hire this guy? This guy was just part of the other one. And, he made some, as I remember, he made some draft picks too that it was like, gosh, what a great pick. What a great pick. And where's he now? I mean, he's on some, with some other team as some, consultant or whatever, whatever that title they give those guys. So it happens. I mean, you're just giving these guys the benefit of the doubt because they've only been here for a few years. And you think since they came from New England that, like all of a sudden it's just like these guys, we're going to be the Patriots. So, okay.
Okay, and you're just doing what you do, which is like, because the Lions have lost for however many years,
you're right.
And because they haven't had many good GMs.
I'm in the seen as believing
they'll never
stage.
Get it right.
I'm past the hope stage. I'm past the buying the buckets of hope. I'm in the show me stage now. That's where I'm at. Show me.
Okay.
Okay.
And you're on the Detroit Koolaid Cast, Grifka, just to remind you. But I'll see you at the parade someday, I'm sure. So Grifka, let's do this. We got so far off track that I want to give you a couple open-ended things to talk through, some kind of like open-ended questions. I think we can just bump Turkey Day into the Rams preview, kind of combine those shows on Friday.
Okay.
Because we went pretty long here for the people. So let's just do a few questions. We've argued, we went back and forth. We have different philosophies on this team, different fandom, different rooting habits. The people know that. We went through it again. I think it was some entertaining discussion, but let's hit a few questions. We'll get out of here, and then Friday we'll kind of give them a double dip. Turkey Day review, Rams preview, and then on to the game that weekend. How about that?
Okay, that works.
All right, so some simple, broad questions, Grifka. First one, we kind of already hit on it a little bit, but should Kerryon Johnson return if he's healthy and ready to roll?
If he's healthy and can play, yes, I believe so. If it's one of those things where it's if he's at like 75, 80%, no. I mean, because then we kind of run into that thing where you can just kind of re-aggravate the injury and make it worse. But if he's 100% and go, yeah, I think even though he's a rookie, you still need the reps. I mean, at this point, I mean, if he's one of those, 6-year veterans that's still, very productive, yeah, then you could just, bounce him to save his wheels. But even as a rookie, I believe you still need to see more reps to get more, see more stuff. So yeah, if he's 100% and can play, yeah, I would say you bring him back.
Yeah, see, this one's a tough one for me. I mean, I think I've seen what I need to see from Kerryon. I really like everything he's shown me. I don't think he's going to forget how to run, catch, block, all the good stuff that he's done this year. I'm always worried because running back is one of those where, like, every carry, every hit, you just never know what can happen. But, I mean, I'm with you on this one. Like, if he's ready to go, I mean, you can get hurt, as I always kind of tell people, too, when they bring up some of these, hold them out. Like, you can get hurt any day of the week. You get hit by a bus tomorrow. You could come down with some crazy illness. Nobody knows what's going to happen, right? So I think that if he's ready to go, and, like you said, for reps, for just the rapport, and also, like, the most excited I've got is when he really has started to get the ball and everyone's set that he's the 3-down back. And it really makes tuning into the game great. See, what's Kerryon going to do? I wonder if he'll, like, drop 120 and a touchdown or two, you know what I mean? What's this guy's absolute ceiling? So I'm with you. I mean, put him back out there. I'm not going to worry as much about injuries, but, like you say, it can positively impact the team, which is good and bad in some areas. But yeah, I would root for him to come back if healthy. Now, next question, Grifka, do you want wins? Oh man, we already battled this one out, but so we'll be short on it. Do you want wins or do you want the draft position?
Wins.
Yeah, that was an easy bill, but
no discussion. We already talked about it. I want wins. So
we did. Yeah, it's an easy one for you, and it's gonna seem like I'm straddling the fence, but like there is a way to want wins, want good play, and also wanting to say, like, I remember there's years back, a few years ago, where like I would like literally know the scenarios going in the game. Like, okay, if Tampa Bay loses and this team loses, and the Lions win, it doesn't hurt them. But if the Lions win and these 3 teams lose, it drops to 6 spots. Like I'm probably going to have those all figured out as we get closer here to the year. But, my innate fandom wants a win, but there is a way to root for your team, hope they play well, and like know that, hey, if this win in, the last game of the year with backup players is going to drop us a ton or hurt our status, then yeah, I'm going to root for the draft position at that point because I know how much of an asset that is, and I value it, more than you do. So that's my short answer. Because like I said, we've battled that out a little bit. Are there any young players, Grifka? Last little question. We hit on this a little, but we can dive a little deeper. Are there any young players that you will be watching kind of as the season progresses? Anybody you want to see, or like are there guys out there now that you'll really be keeping your eye on, saying, man, if they progress, or could they actually be a backup starter in 2019? Because we're basically at that point right now.
Mine would have to be on more of the defensive side of the ball. I'd like to see more of Walker in the defensive backfield, see what he can do. I know, once again, third-round pick, must have had a plan for him. I'd like to see him play a little more. It seems like the little bit of playing time he does get, he seems to make a play here and there. I know it's not a whole lot on this defense, but still, I wouldn't mind seeing more of him. And especially with, I know next year, either in the offseason with draft or free agency, the Lions are going to be looking at cornerback, but that Mike Ford, I believe his name is, that undrafted rookie, I wouldn't mind seeing what he can do. I mean, he can't be nearly as bad as Nevin Lawson and Tease Tabor, considering they completely benched Tabor, inactive for the Thanksgiving Day game. The guy wasn't even hurt, and they just completely benched the guy. So I'd like to see more of those guys. Offense, I mean, we can talk about the Powells and, hopefully Mike Roberts shows a little more at tight end, but I'm thinking more it's got to be defensive side of the ball. They need to really get some stuff cleaned up, going the rest of the year and into the offseason. So those would be the guys I'd kind of want to see.
Yeah, those are some of the main names you brought up. I mean, I just want to hit, we've talked about him on previous shows. There's a Grifka bell for you. But I've kind of don't know what to think, or have half given up on my optimism for Brandon Powell, because he's not even suiting up. So when we always say sometimes these NFL teams know what we don't because they see him every day in practice, inside info that we don't have, there has to be something going on where this guy get a look, because I mean, I like what Bruce Ellington has done and a few others, but I mean, I don't see why, especially with Marv down, why Powell wouldn't be out there trying to show, even if he goes out and he's terrible, okay, good, this guy can't be a slot player. He can't be a fifth, sixth receiver in the NFL, but we don't even get to see him, which is crazy. And then you hit on Tease. I just want to talk about him for 2 seconds. I wrote a buddy and just said, Tease is going to end up being Bobby Quinn's biggest swing and miss, high second rounder that is just an absolute liability, doesn't seem to have the mentality to do it either in this scheme or for this team. So you sounds like you were upset, oh, this guy can't even suit up, or they scratched him. I was happy because I was so sick of him getting burnt on every play. I literally will write friends every play and go, every catch is against Nevin Lawson. I mean, it's unbelievable. Every ball is complete, and then I look up and it's Nevin Lawson 3 yards behind the play every time. So, I mean, Tracy Walker would be nice, but I'm just kind of on. I'd like to see a couple, but the Brandon Powells, or even see Theo get going again, show some things. But to me, Mike Ford he's just a backup, extra type player. I haven't loved what he's done, but he's been okay. And then maybe we'll just see a little bit more from Hand. He kind of flashes at times, and other times I don't notice him. So I'd like to see him continue to show, okay, is he a stout guy next to Snacks, or is he a big edge? I mean, I really don't know what he does, because half the time I see A-Shawn out there. But, this is definitely going to be a time where you have to evaluate those young players and see what you got, but I think we've pretty much seen most of the people. So, we'll see what happens the rest of the year. But those are some good names we brought up. So Grifka, we went about nearly an hour here. We argued for a good majority of that. We didn't even talk about Turkey Day. Time to get out of here, man.
Yeah, we'll reset, and Friday we'll talk about Turkey Day shortly, and then we'll just preview the Rams game coming up.
Yeah, man, it should be interesting. So, everybody, we thank everybody for listening. We'll be back at you Friday. As Grifka said, short, sad recap on what happened on Thanksgiving. I got a lot of thoughts from Matt Stafford and others in that game of how that one shook out. And, man, this Rams one, Grifka, is going to be an interesting one. I think we're both going to have some interesting takes on it, and should be a fun one. So everybody catch us back Friday morning, dropping on iTunes, all different podcast platforms. Check it out while you're heading to work, or share it with a friend. Everybody, this is the Detroit Koolaid Cast for me and for Grifka. We're going to get out of here. We'll check you on Friday. We're out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. Drink it in, man.